Bombers, a rematch of last week's Bombers 34-20 victory in Winnipeg. But there's a bit of a plot twist here as we've got two different quarterbacks. Jeremiah Masoli on one side and the return of Zach Collaros on the other.
Yeah, first game for Zach Collaros for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in this one, and he'll be looking tonight to hit a personal milestone early if it was up to him. His next touchdown pass will be number 200 of his career for Zach Collaros. And for the BC Lions, with Nathan Rourke hurt, they turn to veteran pivot Jeremiah Masoli. 60th CFL start for Jeremiah, first as a BC Lion. He's 3-6 career versus the Bombers.
Buck Pierce taking the loss in his old stomping grounds last week, but the good news is he is 1-0 at home so far this season. That opening week victory against Edmonton. Mike O'Shea on the other side, his team has won 5 of their last 6 against these BC Lions. This is it for the season series. These two teams will not meet again unless it is in the postseason, which of course could be very likely with the BC Lions and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Winnipeg won the toss and chose to take the ball, and they will get it just inside their own 15. We are underway, and that'll be brought back by Baul. Takes it out just shy of the 40, and look who it is. Zach Collaros back at the helm of the Bombers.
Yeah, as the leader of this football team, he is 49-15 since taking over for this as the starting quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Looking for his 40th 300-yard passing game, and as we mentioned, the touchdowns, personal milestone if he can get to number 200. He'd like to do it early.
107 of those over the last 4 years with the Bombers. A win here today would be his 50th as the starting quarterback of Winnipeg as well. They'll hand it off on the ground. Short push ahead for a couple of yards. Let's take a look at this Winnipeg offense here this evening.
One change on the O-line. Micah Vanderpool is out. Gabe Wallace will play that left guard spot for him. And no Brady Oliveira in the backfield. It will be Matthew Peterson. And if you ask the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, it's no problem. Matthew Peterson took over early in the first game between these two teams and rushed for 130 yards.
Peterson, originally drafted by the Ticats, acquired via trade by the Bombers. Collaros looking to throw. Second down, near side. Clercius has it. Bit of a stiff arm. And it'll be a first down for the visitors.
Zach Collaros didn't get a chance to even be on the sideline in that first game of the regular season. The Bombers, of course, had the bye to open up the campaign this year. So they got a chance to take a look at the game film of every other team before they played their first game last week.
Clercius with the first catch of the game. He had just one last week. Collaros out into the flats, spinning up towards midfield. The former rider Jareth Stearns against this BC defense.
Yeah, you heard the panel talking about they need to be more physical, and that's been their focus this week. They should be with Siona Tehama coming back into the lineup. First game for him this year. Ben Hladek, last time they played in BC Place in their opener, Hladek had a nice interception. He'll be important. And if you're looking at the matchup between receiver and DB, Ronald Kent and Jalen Edwards-Cooper are going to be matched up against Dalton Schoen and Nick Dembski. They've got to play their best game today to get a win.
Tehama with 22 sacks over the last 3 seasons. Out into the flat, Schoen takes it at the 50 up to the 45. And Winnipeg moving the ball pretty well here early in this game.
Yeah, just when you take a look at Dembski, who's looking to continue his consecutive game streak with a catch, at least one. There's Dalton Schoen getting involved. You know, there's great chemistry going back a couple of years now between Zach Collaros and Schoen. So pressure on the DBs at the halfback position for the BC Lions. Edwards-Cooper and Ronald Kent.
And that was Robert Carter Jr. who made the tackle on Schoen. 1st and 10. Collaros getting everybody involved here in the early going as he slings one out to Carrick Wheatfall, who had 5 catches last week for 127 yards and a touchdown.
Collaros looks sharp. Enoch talking about the last time that he was here, it didn't work out very well. Now, it was a different opponent.
Yeah.
It was the Toronto Argonauts. And after he injured that finger in the Grey Cup game, a couple of interceptions in that fourth quarter really turned it. It was a one-possession game going into the fourth.
2nd and 9 from the Lions, 41. Collaros, a bit of time in the pocket, gets it away. Break back immediately to Wheatfall, and he's got another first down for Winnipeg.
You know, and just, I know this is early, and it's just the first few reps for Collaros in the 25 campaign, but you can see his quick read ability. I mean, he pre-snap, he knows where he wants to go with the ball. That was a check down on the last play, but those flat throws, check downs, understanding the defense, what they're giving up, and moving the football in this first drive. He looks pretty sharp.
Did a good job there getting that ball over the defensive line into the hands of Wheatfall, career high last season. On the ground, Peterson right up the middle, churning. Got a little bit of help from his offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Gabe Wallace starting at left guard, giving him a little bit of a extra boost.
Well, here's the thing. You know, with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and their run game, I know I've hit this a bunch of times, but if you don't stop the run against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you cannot win. I'm just going to say it flat out. Now, you can still get beat if you do stop the run, because Zach is a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's going to the Hall when he's done. However, if you don't stop the run up front, it's over. You might as well give Winnipeg the 2 points. So I think that's been the focus for the Lions this week.
Back on the ground again, Peterson looking for that additional boost. BC defensively so far in the season, giving up 144 yards rushing against per game. That's second worst in the league early in the year, but obviously something that you got to put together if you're going to have success.
Well, it just seems like the run game is what really feeds and gives this team energy, the Bombers. So that's Mike Benavides, the DC. He's got to get these guys gap responsible, meaning, you know, that A gap between the center and the guard, the B gap between the guard and the tackle, and the C gaps outside. Every one of those D linemen will have one of those assignments. And some of them, especially in the case of Matthew Betts or Sione Tehema, might have 2 gaps. But you got to close them. You got to be gap sound, or else this Bomber team is going to run away with it.
3rd and 1, Strevler into the game, looking to pick up the first down. They go straight ahead. And the officials will come over to sort this out. I think he probably has it, but it wasn't automatic, that's for sure. And we'll see where this ball ends up being spotted.
And you know who knows that better than anybody when it comes to the Bomber offense and what they like and what they have liked is Buck Pierce, the head coach of the BC Lions.
Well, they get the first down. Strevler stays in. We've seen this over the years with Strevler. They're going to roll him to his right. Dumps it off near side. Nice move at the 10. Down to the 5. Look into the end zone, and he is in. Flag on the play. I think it's coming back. To the end zone, but
holding Winnipeg, number 86. 10-yard penalty will repeat first down.
Kevin's Clercius, the guilty party.
Clercius is right near the point of attack, too, here up the top right corner of the screen. And this is Chris Ike in the flat, wide open, by the way, not covered by anybody. You see the tackle made by Clercius. That's the call, and this one will come back. Yeah, I don't think there's any question about the holding there.
So Bombers off the board, and that'll put them in the 1st and 20. Injured Lion down on the field, and will step away. Winnipeg loses Brady Oliveira early last week, and what an opportunity for Matthew Peterson.
Out of the U of A in Alberta, Matthew Peterson gets the football 23 times because it doesn't matter for Winnipeg, really. I mean, it matters, but if they have to go with their backup tailback, they don't change the game plan. 130 yards rushing. in his first real opportunity.
5.7 yards per carry. Collaros now down the field, lays it out there. Haladic will make the tackle after the completion is hauled in by Carrick Wheatfall. That's his third catch of the ball game.
Little underthrown here from Collaros, but he gets it there. He has to pull Wheatfall back on that deep crossing route.
Second and 4 now. Empty backfield for Collaros. 4 to his right, including Nick Dembski. Collaros, a ton of time. Bounces out to the left. Throws a corner shot to the end zone. Hauled in. Dalton Schoen with the touchdown. The 200th of Zach Collaros' illustrious career.
Well, and two of the things that make Zach Collaros so good is, one, and he doesn't get enough credit for it, his adjustments in the pocket. When he starts to feel a little bit of pressure, he'll make that subtle move left, right, sometimes step up. He makes that move to the left this time, and what an accurate throw over the shoulder of Dalton Schoen. Number 200 of his career for Zach Collaros.
Castillo out for one more. Collaros 7 of 7 for 70 yards and a touchdown here in his season debut. Waste no time getting the Bombers on the board, on the road. Collaros out of the pocket, on the run to Schoen in the end zone. Winnipeg leads early.
Here's the route for Dalton Schoen. Nice little out and up right down the sideline. So, mention the pressure being on the halfbacks for the BC Lions defense. Jalen Edwards-Cooper, he gets beat here, but if he goes back, he can still make up, but he's looking back this way. When he looks this way and doesn't look through Dalton Schoen, you see how Schoen separates and fades away from him just enough to have that over the top of the shoulder. Small, it's a little technique of looking through the hands of the receiver rather than looking back over the opposite shoulder.
12 plays, 72-yard drive that took over 7 minutes. Now on the return, that is Seven McGee making his debut here.
200 touchdown passes in Zach Collaros' career. Look at the names. Just look at the names on that list.
They're good. The best to ever do it. A bunch of them there, obviously. And he's not done. He's got another.
Oh, yeah.
He signed another extension, so he's under contract through next season. Only had 17 touchdowns last year. Had a career high for passing yards, but only 17 touchdown passes. Now we got to look at Jeremiah Mazzoli. On the run to his right, dumps it off, has a completion to Keon Hatcher, who's currently second in the league in receiving yards. Let's take a closer look at Jeremiah.
Well, he got some playing time last week when Nathan Rourke got hurt and went 7 of 10 for 84 yards, 1 interception. But I mentioned off the top, experienced quarterback, a guy who had a 5,000-yard passing season in his career back in 2018. Some injury issues along the way, but
on the ground, first down, James Butler. Yeah, he had over 5,200 yards in 2018, and now he runs this BC offense.
One change up front. Chris Slugger's out, and Tyler Packer will play for him out of the U of C. He's going to play that right guard position, and big second half for Keon Hatcher in the first game between these two teams in Winnipeg last week.
Packer played a little bit of center and some guard last year for the Lions. 3 to the left, 3 to the right. Here for Mazzoli. Throws to the right quickly. And that tackle is made, nowhere to go, but the catch is completed. And that is the first of the game for Justin McInnis against his Winnipeg defense.
A lot of people talking about Winnipeg getting too old. Well, Willie Jefferson is getting older, but he's not slowing down in any way. 2 knockdowns for Jefferson in game 1 of the regular season. Tony Jones led the team with tackles with 9 at middle linebacker and a couple of picks for Marquise Bridges, who 2 interceptions in the first game of the season.
Willie Jefferson 1 sack shy of 75 in his career. Back on the ground again. Butler had to hesitate. Picks up about a yard, but he needed 3, and that'll bring up 3rd and 2 for the BC Lions, smack dab at midfield.
Yeah, this be interesting to see what Buck Pierce does. He looks like he's going to bring in the short yardage team and go for this. He went for it in game 1. Remember, in their first game of the regular season against Edmonton, he went for it, didn't get it.
It's the first quarter, but I'll say this is a pretty big moment right here.
Yeah. You're giving Zach Collaros midfield if you don't get it.
0 for 2 on 3rd and short. They'll hand it off, pushing ahead, and they got it. BC Lions offense will stay on the field as they attack with James Butler.
You know, if I remember correctly, in that first week of the season against Edmonton, they went quarterback sneak on that and didn't get it. This time they turn around and give it to their tailback in James Butler. He gets that. I asked Buck about the decision, and the head coach said, yeah, I learned a little bit about, you know, our team. I learned a little bit about game, you know, planning and game management. But clearly he'll do it again.
Work that time. 1st and 10 for the Winnipeg 52. Masoli under pressure gets it away, and that is incomplete. Defended well by Evan Holm as Masoli was looking for Aiden Eberhardt, who had 1 catch last week for 49 yards.
There he is there. Yeah, that big catch was sort of gave the BC Lions hope last week late in the first half as they were going in the locker room that they could make the comeback, because it was all Bombers to start that game.
2nd and long for Masoli. Bombers sent for Masoli's got a man open. It's McInnes. Takes it down inside the 40, and BC looking to respond with a drive of their own here in the first quarter.
Yeah, Justin McInnes been used. He's got 1 touchdown, but been used sparingly, I would say, in the first 2 weeks. And they're just trying to work on that chemistry between him and Nathan Rourke. But this time it's Jeremiah Masoli tonight, and McInnes gets on the board early.
Couple of catches for McInnes. He's got 21 yards on this opening drive for the home side Lions. Fresh set of downs from the Winnipeg 38. Again, quickly, this time Hatcher down inside the 30. And he's awfully close to another first down. Looks like they might mark him just shy.
Well, they started moving Keon Hatcher around last week and played him as a single receiver in the short side of the field, or he put him in the number 3 spot to the wide side. And he produced in a big way. 4 catches, 150 yards, had a 77-yarder in that game last week. Again, didn't get the W, but
the Lions at one point last week were trailing 18-3 out in Winnipeg. Looking to get off to a better start here. Just 2nd and inches. Masoli, quarterback keeper, jumps over the line, and he's got a BC Lions first down with 2 minutes remaining here in a quick-paced opening quarter.
You know, I mentioned that Jeremiah Masoli, I mean, his arrow was headed up when you think of his career. And by the way, it doesn't matter really, you know, what team you cheer for in the CFL. Jeremiah Masoli is a guy that is just easy to like. He's just a good human being, great to talk to, football mind, outstanding teammate. So I know there was a lot of people cheering for him, and he went through those injuries, but he looks sharp physically right now on this first drive for the Lions.
He's 4 of 5 for 39 yards. As Butler standing to his right, Butler will protect. Masoli gets it away, near side, back to McInnes again. And they'll push it ahead, breaks the tackle. What an effort by McInnes, and he takes it down to the 20.
Sometimes he's a little bit like Gumby, isn't he? He just kind of bends, and
that's a big man to be that bendy.
You try to make the tackle on him, and he kind of flips away from that one, bends away from the other one, and good yardage after the catch.
How about the look of Masoli's face when we asked him this week? I said, so about throwing the ball to Justin McInnes, and he's like, yeah, it's a treat.
Yeah,
it's a treat. He's found him 3 times. on this drive as they look for a response. 2nd and 3. Back to Butler. Great second effort, and that should be a BC Lions first down. It's close. Long look at this, and they're going to want a closer look at this one. And they'll bring the chains in to take a little peek at it. If not, it'll be 3rd and a matter of inches.
Well, here's something that you don't see very often in the CFL. When you consider that all 3 phases are so important and so active in special teams, that's how close it is. There's only been 1 offensive possession for the Bombers, and 1 offensive possession for the Lions in the whole first quarter.
And this was not going to end. I mean, this first possession for BC is likely going to carry over into the second quarter. So,
well, and when you consider, you know, we have the most exciting final 3 minutes in sports, in my opinion, in the CFL, and at times in the final 3 minutes, and I know the clock works a little differently, but you can get 2 or 3 possessions in the final 3 minutes, which is why we see the dramatic comebacks, i.e. last night in Toronto.
Yeah, that was somewhat thrilling, wasn't it? Oh, man. That looked like a fun time. Mazzoli 3rd and super duper short, and he pushes it ahead for a Lions first down. What an important drive for BC. Winnipeg had a 12-play drive to open the scoring. That was the 12th play of this drive for the Lions. Even if you don't finish it with a major, it was just, hey, we're not going to be pushed around like we were last week.
It is big, but I think if you ask Buck, that major is important against this team in particular. You know, this team will just start to roll, and you can't match their majors with field goals. But yeah, outstanding opening drive to match Zach Collaros.
Final play of the opening quarter. Bombers bring in some pressure. Mazzoli gets it away. End zone shot broken up neatly. Dietrich Nichols says not today. And he bats it down to end the quarter. Mazzoli looking for Eberhardt, and Dietrich Nichols, who's been a West All-Star 3 times in the last 4 years, makes a play on the ball. Winnipeg on the road leading 7-0. BC Lions knocking on the door, and if you look at the rest of these numbers, pretty evenly played opening quarter, I'd say.
Yeah, first downs identical, time of possession identical, and that first BC drive in the first quarter not finished yet. We'll see what Jeremiah Mazzoli, but you know, with his injury history, it's good to see his feet as active as they are. His recognition is there. You know, Jeremiah Mazzoli, that's the reason that the BC Lions brought him in. They wanted a veteran quarterback behind Nathan Rourke, and you know, mutual respect between the two guys. It's a great quarterback room in BC. And Mazzoli, we'll see if he can finish this drive. He's got a 2nd and long here. He's got to convert that first.
2nd and 10 from the Winnipeg 15 for Mazzoli. Winnipeg shows some pressure.
Yep.
Lions going to move some pieces around. Mazzoli in his face, pressured over the middle, bouncing towards the end zone. No! Incomplete. Katoy got turned around after Jamal Parker deflected it, and Sean White will trot onto the field for a field goal attempt.
Well, Jeremiah Mazzoli with that early count, you saw the snap count where he went up over the ball, yelled out a couple signals so that he could see what the defense was going to do. And they were showing the blitz, and they did go with the blitz. So they didn't check out of it. And Mazzoli knew he couldn't block them all, so he had to try and dump it to that hot route down the middle and just missed it.
Sean White has hit 16 in a row, and that one is up. No doubt about it. Chip shot for White. So Winnipeg has had a luxury at running back over the last few years.
Well, in the history of great Canadian running backs, when you go back to Andrew Harris, now the running back coach in Saskatchewan, Brady Oliveira last year, most outstanding player and outstanding Canadian. That was the 19 Cup where Andrew Harris double dipped there. And now the mantle held, or the what's the track? The track. You're passing the baton.
The baton.
Thank you.
The producer was in my ear. I didn't know what you were talking about.
I'm looking at you going, help me here.
I know.
Passing the baton.
You're just moving your arms. I was like, what are you doing right now?
Yes.
Well, hand it off.
Look at this.
Look at a great run
On
for Peterson. Here we go. Here's what Matthew Peterson has to say.
Canadians can run the rock. It doesn't matter if you put us in Winnipeg, you know, Sask. It doesn't matter where you put us. We can run the rock. You know, and it just so happens that this team here loves to have Canadian backs, and we do a damn good job at running. And so it feels good to know that, you know, it's continuing to grow at this position, and not just for myself but others.
21 yards on 4 carries. They go back to him, a great cut, and he's got another first down as Peterson picks up where he left off last week.
With the baton in his hand. Another really good run here. And, you know, this is what I mean. They just start to grab that momentum with their offensive line, opening up holes. Nice jump cut. In fact, not only Michael O'Shea, but other coaches, other GMs in the league have felt like he really looks a lot like Brady Oliveira. A lot of the same style, same size in a lot of ways. Very comparable to Brady Oliveira, who will be back.
Now they go to Peterson. Hauls it in, but is wrapped up immediately by Deontay Williams. Pressure in the face of Zach that time. Got it out to his running back, but nowhere to go.
But from that clip, no, Dustin, you take a look at that night. First of all, I love the confidence. The confidence in it that he understands sort of the history of the Canadian running back in Winnipeg and how dedicated they are to it. It doesn't matter if it's the first series or the last, or they're up in the score or down in the score. If the BC Lions can't talk them out of the run by stopping it, especially on first down, they'll keep with it.
2nd and 9. Flores looking to throw here. Down the field. End zone shot. Lays it out there. Broken up. Tried to find Stern. Double coverage. Beaulieu and Ronald Kent Jr. were there.
Yeah, Christophe Beaulieu looked like he was a little bit behind the plays, just to the right corner of your screen. And he recovers and does one thing he has to do here. If he doesn't look back, he may get a screening call, but he looks back. Look at 29. He's going to turn, gets that hand on Stern. See, turns back to look for the football. That avoids the pass interference penalty.
It'll be a 55-yard attempt for Castillo. Had 2 from 60-plus last year, 11 from beyond 50, which was a CFL record. Just inside the right hash from 55 for Castillo. That is up, and it is right down the middle. A deep shot from Sergio. And Winnipeg goes on top. We've got a scrum just outside the 45 that will pick up when we return. Well, for over 20 years, along with the CFL and its member clubs, the Purolator Tackle Hunger program has delivered over 25 million pounds of food to families in need. Please go to PurolatorTackleHunger.ca to donate today. And there's a look at some upcoming games for the Purolator Tackle Hunger program. So BC gets the ball back, had to settle for a field goal on their first drive. Moved the ball well, though. Mazzoli on the run to his right, dumps it off. A little bit of space here for Hatcher, who hauls it in. And nothing wrong with a steady diet of Hatcher and McInnes for the veteran quarterback.
Great read on this RPO play from Jeremiah Mazzoli, who's going to take a look at the defensive end. If the defensive end crashes, he keeps the football. Here's the play fake. There's the crash from the defensive lineman, and now he's out on the edge with the option to either run or pass. He decides to throw it out there to Hatcher.
Three
Well played.
catches for Hatcher, 3 catches for McInnes. They work from midfield. This time they will give it to Butler. Broke the first tackle, not the second. Tracked down and tripped up by Kyrie Wilson, but got 4 yards, almost 5 on that first down carry.
It's a good package to run for a player like Jeremiah Masoli and his skill set, because he's so athletic. He's got great speed and can run away from tacklers if he does decide to run around the edge. Buck Pierce calling a play package that really suits his quarterback.
2nd and 5 for the Bomber 50. Masoli bouncing around, throws it over to his running back Butler. That is going to be picked up and taken back. No whistles on the field just yet. Parker down to the 10, to the 5, to the end zone. Touchdown, Winnipeg. Masoli misses Butler. Picked up by Parker, and he's gone.
The question is, was it a lateral pass? And that's what the officials are chatting with. I think Jeremiah Masoli is looking. Was it a lateral pass or was it a forward pass? It looked right down the line. And the call on the field is touchdown Bombers. So let's take a look one more time. Is that backwards?
The previous play is being reviewed by the replay center.
It's an automatic review, so no challenge necessary from Buck Pierce because it's a score.
It's close, wasn't it?
Very,
very close.
And again, you know, when it really depends on what the ruling on the field was.
Again, the call on the field was a touchdown. It didn't take long here. Let's get the ruling.
It was a lateral pass on the previous play. Winnipeg touchdown.
Heads up play by Parker. And play it like it's live and let the replay center figure it out after.
We'll see how Masoli bounces back after that one. Castillo out to make it a 14-point lead for Winnipeg. And that one is through. Well, last week in Winnipeg, the Lions fell behind 18-3. After this, they trail 17-3 as Parker. Thank you very much. Don't mind if I do. Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey star in the Emmy Award-winning HBO original Critics Call Stunning and Masterfully Tense, The Last of Us. Stream all episodes now only on Crave, proudly Canadian. Seven McGee, and it's good that I'll remember his first name when I look at his jersey. I really appreciate Seven going with the 77. And he's handling return duties today. Albany University, he takes it and pushes it ahead back to the 30. Let's bring Farhan into the show with a little bit more on Nathan Rourke.
Yeah, guys, Rourke, of course, is not playing in this game, and Buck Pierce took lessons from the Mike O'Shea School of Injuries. Didn't want to talk about it or get into any significant detail. He wanted to keep the option open until the very last moment. But really, when you saw what happened in the game and during the practice week and just how little he did, you knew it was very unlikely that he was going to play in this game. Rourke is a rotary thrower, not necessarily traditional mechanics. That puts even more strain on that oblique area. He was really testing it on the field before the game. So I think next week, given what I saw him doing pregame, I don't think it's out of the question that he could potentially play. He very much wanted to play against the Bombers because he's never beaten them, and they're not going to play him again this year, at least not in the regular season.
Oh, look out. That was almost taken back as well, as Terrell Bonds had a great jump on it.
Well, that lateral that ends up in the Bomber touchdown is really not on Jeremiah Masoli. I mean, he hit James Butler between the 2 and the 0. That one would have been a little bit late on that out route, but yeah, be interesting to see what happens with Nathan next week. It's a long season. It's a marathon. You got to be smart.
They're on the road against the Riders next week. There's a completion, and that'll be a first down. As right back to Justin McInnes, his 4th catch of the game. So the near interception, and then Mazzoli bounces back nicely.
Yeah, and this is a danger throw, too. This is right down the middle. There's linebackers lurking in the area. You see Tony Jones right there. He had to throw it around Jones at the middle linebacker spot and in front of the secondary. Just ripped it in there.
Lions will work from their own 43. James Butler, 5 carries for 16 yards. Stands to the left of his quarterback. Now he flares out into the flat. Mazzoli, far side, lays it out there, misses. McInnes, as Justin got turned around a little bit, never really picked that ball up, did he?
Yeah, I think basically Mazzoli was looking to keep this away from any DB for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers that might be trying to fly over there, and you see the double move. Justin McInnes is open, but he had to flip shoulders and look to the outside shoulder. Again, Mazzoli wanting to keep it away from the defenders and hope that his receiver could adjust in time, and Justin McInnes just didn't get there. Quentin Hatcher by himself down at the bottom.
Everybody else up to the left. Winnipeg brings some heat. Mazzoli in trouble, trying to get away. He will not. Taken down. Everybody was there for the Bombers defense. Griffin, Wilson, among others, in on the tackle.
Yeah, it really was a bit of a coverage sack first. A coverage sack basically meaning the DBs had the receivers for the Lions covered down and allowed that pocket to collapse. Gave the defensive line a little bit more time. They do add in a couple of linebackers in the pass rush, Kyrie Wilson being one of them.
Okay, that makes sense.
It'll be Griffin with the sack. Carl Meyer out to kick it away from his own 30. Trey Valul slides over, takes it at his 10 cleanly. Back to the 25 on the return. Mazzoli looking for a path to escape. Could not find one. Well, I don't think I'm exaggerating by saying Zach Collaros is on an all-time heater with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah, looking for win number 50. And go back to when he was brought over to Winnipeg back in 2019. I played against that guy on the far left. And if you're on a board that has his name on it, you're getting something done.
Got to be pretty proud of yourself there.
Yeah.
Another handoff. And that's our first look at Quentin Cooley, who by all accounts had an excellent training camp with the Bombers. 29 TDs at Liberty. Also at Wake Forest before that.
One of the speed dial guys in training camp. We're going to have to let you go, but you're on speed dial.
Be ready.
Be ready. Stay in shape.
5'7", 214 pounds. Peterson back in now, steps up over to the left of Collaros. Collaros gets it away down the field up to the 40, and that is hauled in by Jareth Stearns. His second catch of the game. He had one for 13 yards last week.
Real clean pocket for Zach Collaros. Stearns is that second receiver to the trip side, and basically Nick Dembski is there to hold the halfback in Edwards Cooper so he can't widen to get out to Stearns. And if he does widen, then Dembski is the target. It's a pick your poison in that play for Zach Collaros.
Zach speaking very highly of Jareth Stearns earlier this week. Takes the handoff. This one deflected at the line and falls incomplete. Toure, I believe, getting his hand on it.
Not a lot of pressure in this first half on Zach Collaros. That's about as close as the Lions have got, although he's making those reads so quickly. It's difficult to get there.
Toure out of Rutgers had some time in camps with Atlanta and Carolina down south. Has a sack already on the season. 2nd and 10 for Zach. Collaros again, clean pocket near side. Great tackle made by Deontay Williams after Clarcius hauls in his 2nd catch of the game, and that will bring up 3rd down for Winnipeg.
Yeah, the cover linebacker out there in space, and Zach Collaros thinking if he can get it, he has to beat one guy. That guy is Deontay Williams. If he can beat that one guy, we get the 1st down, drive stays alive. Williams made the tackle.
From his own 35. This will be taken by McGee. Flag as he gets tripped up just outside the 20.
They'll push it back. Illegal block by the Lions.
Jeremiah Mazzoli trots out onto the field. 7 of 12 for 73
During the
yards.
return, holding, BC, number 13. Half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
Mazzoli on his relationship with Nathan Rourke.
He's got it all. You know, he checks all the boxes. He, his work ethic, his leadership, you know, leads by example. You know, he's endearing to his teammates. You know, for me, it's just pointing out some of the things that you don't see when you're the guy. You know, when you're in it, you're in it. And sometimes you just need somebody outside of it, a different perspective to kind of just let you know what's going on sometimes a little bit, whether that's the defense, whether that's the guys on our side, you know, to watch out for. You know, I'm just trying to have his blind spot, basically.
It's a good guy to have around, I think, for Nathan Rourke at this stage of his career. Here's Mazzoli, gets it away a little bit high, but hauled in. And still pushing it ahead. Finally, will get the stoppage. That was an extra 4 or 5 yards after the catch there for McInnes.
Yeah, just a great extra set of eyes when Nathan Rourke is the starting quarterback and out there again after the injury, and great mentor, guy that I liked how he phrased it, where he said, you know, sometimes you're in it, you're out there and it's flying. There's, you know, it's like you're standing on a freeway and the cars are flying by, and sometimes it's those pair of eyes from the sideline that can suggest something and help you out in a series or two. And when we talked to Nathan about Jeremiah and how influential he's been, how much he's helped him, he said he just raved about what a great mentor he is.
They did get the 1st down. Now back on the ground. Butler. Really nowhere to go this time. Willie Jefferson, among others, in on the tackle. Second and 10 for Mazzoli and the Lions as we hit 3 minutes here in Vancouver. Bombers on top, 17-3.
You know the best part of being on the road and being in these stadiums? Being with the fans. We are officially in the Lions Den here with some of the best fans in the entire league. Coming up at half, we'll break down Zach Collaros' performance, the pressure on Jeremiah. All your Week 3 highlights. Let's go, Lions Den!
Is Davis playing guitar in the back, or what's he doing?
He's hiding somewhere, but
he's having a coffee. He's the manager of the band.
Not in his deal to climb into the stands, I guess. That's okay, though. I think Enoch was having enough fun for all of them.
Yeah, that's true.
He was having a good time. Benefits of being on the road.
Clearly, he's on percussion.
2nd and 9 here for Mazzoli, and flags as the ball is snapped.
A couple of things that I've noticed from the
Procedure. BC, number 69. 5-yard penalty. It remains second down.
The left tackle, Jarrell Broxton.
From the Bomber defensive line is that they've stunted Willie Jefferson a few times in this first half to an inside pass rush move. And they did on that play where Broxton was moved. Now, it may not have been because he saw Willie or he flashed, but what it does is it brings Willie Jefferson into an inside pass rush lane where when he gets his hands up, he's right in the throwing lane.
Three options, wide side left for Mazzoli. Looks in that direction first. Throws in that direction. Lays it up there again for McInnes, who's going to be stopped short of a first down.
Just short, but let me show you again. This is what happens. It's a bit of a twist out here, and Willie Jefferson will attack the right tackle, but then he goes inside. So if there's any throw to that right side of the formation, that's right through the hands and arms of Willie Jefferson. That's why they want to bring him into that inside gap. Buck Pierce had a play called that went to the other side of the field, and they are just short and will have to punt.
Yeah, third and a couple here, so he'll play it safe, kick it away to Trey Vaul.
Another awesome name.
He had some good bursts last week.
Absolutely.
We were already talking about the vroom, vroom, vroom Vaul if he takes off. So got that one locked and loaded just in case. This kick, end over end. Vaul takes it with speed. And instant field position on a quick return. And let's go back down to Farhan Lalji.
Guys, Zach Caleros had an interesting seat for the game last week between these two teams because of his suspension. He wasn't allowed on the sideline, so he said he got about 20,000 steps on the treadmill in the Bombers' weight room, and he said he understands why the suspension happened and why the need is there for the rule, but he was disappointed. Now he just wants to move on and get past it. But more than anything, he doesn't want this to taint his legacy as a player. This has never been about what he's done. He's passed 6 or 7 drug tests, and he said when he got the week off from all the practice reps, it was a chance to get a head start on his coaching career, but he believes he's got a lot of good years left. He doesn't want to rush into that side of the world yet.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of good years left as well. Looking for it all right here for Dembski. Oh, intercepted. Horrible timing. We were just talking about Zach. Now taken back up beyond the 30. Near sideline and taken away. Christophe Boyou steps in.
Great range and just a little underthrown from Zach Caleros. And by the way, this whole thing and missing one game, the legacy is intact. Even if his career stopped this season, it is intact. So I don't know about you, Dustin, but I almost go weeks without looking at my phone in the offseason. But this is a nice play by Christophe Boyou to go all the way across the field, and Zach didn't count him in the coverage.
I think I'm going to blame Farhan for that one, right? He was the one initially talking about Zach, not technically us. So sorry, Farhan, but that's on you, my man.
You have to fall on that sword.
So Mazzoli gets the ball back. Less than 2 to play in the half. He's on the run. And tried to find Katoy, but broken up by Griffin. Farhan, what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, I think I should just keep talking about Jeremiah Masoli over and over here, so maybe he'll do something and we can get a close game going forward.
We'll see if that works. It's weird because last week's game, 18-3 at one point, it was all Bombers. This is 17-3, and I think BC's played better.
Well, there's a couple of trends. First of all, in the first 2 weeks of the regular season, a lot of the scoring has happened in the second half.
Yeah, that's true.
Teams, you know, moving some of the chess pieces around, making some adjustments at halftime and coming out with more offense in the second half. We'll see if that happens tonight.
Mazzoli to his right again, down the field looking for Hatcher. That would have been spectacular, but he could not haul it in. Terrell Bonds in defense.
Well, you got to earn it against this Bomber defense, there's no question, and there's lots of space. Not really an option for Jeremiah Mazzoli to run there because of the D lineman that was tracking him down. Or excuse me, the middle linebacker and Tony Jones, but just ran out of room on that sideline.
So unable to take advantage of the Caleros INT, and now Zach will get the ball back here. Meyer stands on his 35. Low kick. And that one will bounce out. They'll mark it down at the 12. Aul couldn't get over there.
Real good punt. But time. Minute 37 is still time to at least look at field goal range, unless you hit a big one over the top.
Zach last year, 17 touchdown passes, 15 interceptions, had some pretty monster years early in this Winnipeg run of dominance in the West. And he's been pretty good so far here today. 10 of 13 for 93 yards, touchdown, and an interception. And he hasn't been afraid to throw that ball down the field, Suze. He's taken a few deep shots. This time back on the ground. Tehema. Alway in on the tackle of Peterson, who's been a bright spot once again in the first half, I'd say, for the Bombers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is their DNA right here. To run on first down, kick into some play action in the second half.
3 yards for Peterson, so it'll be a 2nd and 7.
With a stop here, you might get the ball back in time if you're the Lions.
Claris on a draw, dumps it off to Peterson, but no hole opened up at all. Tehema in the mix there as well.
And Dwayne Hendricks was a real important piece to that puzzle when he got the good push up the middle, because that
Timeout, BC.
That draw was supposed to go right through the A gap, the gap between the center and the guard. But big number 14 just plugged that hole right up.
Debaye was in on it as well. At the half, in the house, and they're setting up down on the field, ready to go.
Lead singer Kate on percussion, Enoch Davis manager.
I was going to say producer, manager, that type of thing.
Band manager, yeah.
Sheen stands in his end zone right now, so could be pretty good field position. 66 seconds left on the clock. Seven McGee waits back on his own 41 for the Lions. A high kick this time. Taken inside the 50. Returned back out to about midfield. I think he stepped out of bounds right at midfield. Well, don't miss Free Agent Frenzy, presented by Harvey's on TSN. Experts and insiders break all the NHL news, rumors, and player signings live as it happens on Canada Day, of course. Coverage begins at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on TSN. Also get all the latest updates, analysis, and stories at tsn.ca and on the TSN app. It's one of my favorite days of the year.
Okay, so is Connor McDavid a free agent?
No, we're not talking about that.
Okay,
I mean, being based in Edmonton,
is that a show?
I spend enough time talking about that.
That's a show.
He is still under contract for another season, eligible to sign with the Oilers this summer. Here is Mazzoli. He's over the middle, picked off. Parker takes it away at the touchdown on a scoop and score earlier. Now he's got an interception.
Pressure on Mazzoli causes the high throw, and when it does, that's Parker right in the middle of your screen. Another big play in this first half. A little bit of high throw there, can't be pulled down, and that's a nice catch by the safety in behind it.
Now, with how they approached last year, they're definitely going to be within field goal range. 1 or 2 successful plays here. Whew. Cam Lawson. Well, that's McInnes. He's a big boy, too, over his head. Indoors like this, they probably let Castillo kick from 80 yards away. So we'll see where Zach can get him. He's pressured. He's in trouble. And he's going to be taken down. That'll help things for the BC Lions. We said Zach's had quite a bit of time so far in this game. Not right there.
Good team sack here. Pressure up here by Betts. There's Tehema down at the bottom. I think You take a look at Hendricks as well, who is going to get the good push again up the middle. There's Matthew Betts. He flushes Zach Kolarz back into the pocket. And then they meet right there at number 8.
2nd and 15 here. Strevler has come into the game with 40 seconds left in the half. Brought in some bigger boys along with him here as well. And they're just going to step up. And with time ticking down, Strevler takes the knee. And Winnipeg, more than comfortable, going to the room with a 14-point cushion on the road here.
Yeah, on the road. Couple score, 2-possession lead.
Bombers, a flag here right at the end of the half. Want to sort this out. Panel, though, just around the corner.
If we're watching earlier that Calgary game, Micah Alway was on our panel for a cool hit in that one.
Alway is the active tackles leader in the Canadian Football League, now in the middle of this BC Lions defense. Also the active leader in player appearances on the panel, as I was just told. Long discussion here, the officials with Buck Pierce.
Well, that would mean it's against the Bombers because he's wanting to know the options.
All right, let's figure out what's going on.
Procedure, Winnipeg, number 61. Timer, please put 1 second left on the game clock.
But down over. I think Buck Pierce was wondering if there was any way they could just decline it, get the ball, and kick a field goal or attempt a field goal from right there. But he looked disappointed as he turned away and got the answer.
Strevler takes the knee. And that'll,
you know, get the ball in our hands. You know, those 5-yard catches turn into first downs over time. So we just got to get our rhythm going and we'll be good.
What about just the turnovers in this game? It seemed like you guys have been moving the ball. The statistics are pretty even, but those turnovers seem to have been costly.
Yeah, so there's a whole second half of football. 0-0 score right now. We know we gotta come back a little bit, but you know we just gotta execute our game plan. You know, keep our heads up and keep fighting.
Thanks for this.
Awesome, thank you.
McInnes, the biggest bright spot in that first half. 6 catches on 7 targets, 63 yards. And they'll need a bigger half from him even here in the second to get back in this thing.
Yeah, leads all receivers, both teams. But they don't lead in the score. Bombers with a couple big plays defensively.
Good news for BC, they will get the ball to start the third quarter of this ball game at home here in Vancouver. And Castillo gets us started. Thank you very much for joining us for the second half. Lions, Bombers. Seven McGee fakes the reverse. Good burst, but covered well by the Bombers, and they'll force him out of bounds at the 32.
You know, I thought Jeremiah Mazzola looked pretty sharp in that first series, which there were only 2 offensive series in the whole first quarter. One for the Bombers and one for the BC Lions that carried over into the second. Looked pretty sharp on that, his recognition and his reading of the defense in front of him. And then a couple of miscues. One was really not his fault. The lateral to James Butler hit him right in the chest. He dropped it, and Jamal Parker took it back for 7.
They start on their own 31. Masoli down the field, looking for a big bang right away. Lays it out there, broken up. Nice play play by Terrell Bonds. One-on-one against the big man McInnes.
Yeah, just take a shot down the field, even if it's not complete. Hey, at least you plant a seed in the defensive back's mind that you are going to go deep, but you can't play it any better. And you see how Bonds, when he turned to the inside, remember I showed you that touchdown earlier? DB turns through the receiver. He has a better shot of not getting the separation. But the difference for Bonds was he leaned into him with his right hand. That kept him close to Justin McInnes.
So 2nd and 10. Winnipeg sends 4. Mazzoli feels a little bit of heat, gets it away over the middle. Heavy tackle made there by Griffin, who I think's played very well early in the season for the Bombers, and that'll force a punt from the Lions.
Yeah, the one thing you don't see, I think, as an opposing quarterback when you're playing against the Bomber defense is a bust. You know, and it happens at every level. It happens to every team, but it rarely happens for the Bombers. If you're going to complete that deep one, if you're going to convert on 2nd and long, you got to earn it. You're not going to get a freebie.
I guess that's why they've been to 5 straight Grey Cups.
Exactly. King of the West.
Early second half punt from the Lions after an attempted deep shot to McInnes on 1st down, didn't connect. Ballou takes it at the 25, sidesteps one attacker, and then eventually forced out of bounds just inside the 40. Zach Collaros making his first start of the season.
And it didn't take long. He was looking at a personal milestone to start his first game of the 25 campaign, his 200th touchdown throw. And let's go back in history to the very first touchdown throw by Zach Collaros. He was a member of the Toronto Argonauts. And there it is.
Tranks. Sammy Tranks.
Sammy Tranks.
We had to look that up.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. Here's Peterson trying to fight ahead. He will get positive yardage, just not that much.
And his 200th to Dalton Schoen, that great over-the-shoulder throw on the out and up or wheel route. Did throw an interception to Christophe Doyu in the first half. Underthrown deep ball.
Collaros and Schoen back together again after the injury last season to Schoen, and Collaros not eligible to play week 1. Of course, they were deadly for a couple of seasons. Far side, high throw, no problem. Oh, that bounced out at the end, it did. Clercius working against Robert Carter Jr. Carter wins that battle. It'll be an incomplete pass.
Yeah, Robert Carter Jr. in his first year, 22 years old, comes into this game after 2 with 9 tackles and has really looked like he fits in and like he's not out of place as a rookie corner. 2 games now the Lions have played, and they haven't been, when they did try Edmonton or Winnipeg in game 1, tried to pick on him a little bit. He held his own and then some.
Involved in the return game a little bit as well.
Absolutely, that's where the Lions.
So he's becoming a pretty important player early on. Jamison Sheen kicks this away. Seven McGee waits for it. High kick. Bobbles. McGee, can he get there? No, it looks like the Bombers are on it. And McGee, with his head in his hands, disappointed as it bounces away from him, and the Bombers are on it. Looked away for maybe just a moment, and it's taken away by Smith.
Just a fundamental mistake that's made at every level, and McGee just had his eyes up and wasn't securing the football first. It bounces out, and good hustle there by Jalen Smith. First man down on the cover team, backup linebacker. He goes down there and makes a big play for the Bombers.
Smith, the 15th overall pick in this past 2025 draft, so the second rounder making an impact. Collaros, pump fake, now he's going to go in that direction. There's a flag as this ball is caught by Jarrett Stearns. He takes a heavy blow from Deontay Williams. Will pick up this penalty.
Sione Tahema was on the ground, and it's right by where the flag was thrown.
Holding, Winnipeg, number 69. It's a 10-yard penalty. We'll repeat first down.
Kendall Randolph was, I believe, the gentleman trying to block Sione Tahema.
We were saying in the break, as we were discussing that last play, it's tough enough to beat the Bombers when you play well. Self-inflicted wounds are really going to hurt your chances.
Yeah, this is sudden change, so this is important for the Lions to at least try to hold the Bombers to a field goal attempt. There's the holding down at the bottom of your screen, because Zach Collaros had a play over there in the flat.
Back him up, 1st and 20. Collaros, more pressure, dumps it off to Peterson. Can he find a block or two? Peterson popped just inside the 30.
Oh my God.
As Awe came over to deliver a blow.
Well, when he was on the panel, he and Davis were having a good conversation, and they talked about he's a striker. He doesn't just go and tackle people. He strikes, comes right across. He almost put Matthew Peterson into the panel. He almost made Peterson a panel member over there. That's some good, clean contact. Physicality, right? Pow! Look at that. Just
Collaros, far side of the field, and that one's dropped by Clercius, and that'll be 3rd and 13, and Castillo will trot onto the field for another field goal attempt.
Well, but you gotta, you're looking at it right now. If you're Buck Pearson, the Lions, you're looking at it thinking that's a win. That's something you can build on to get the sudden change like that with a fumble deep in your own end and not give up a major.
Castillo, a deep shot earlier on from 55. This one, from his standards, just 37 yards. And it is up once again right down the gut. Winnipeg comfortably on top here in Vancouver. They lead the Lions 20-3 on a beautiful Saturday evening. Wimbledon right around the corner. Catch all the action from June 30th to July 13th on TSN and TSN Plus. That is an entertaining couple of weeks coming up. Look at that. Look at that helmet. Pretty creative.
BC Lion beers.
Start selling those online. All right, Mazzoli needs a drive here, though. Started on the ground at Butler. This will help. Butler takes it out midfield and more. All the way down to the Winnipeg 51. Something to jump-start the Lions offense right there.
Well, to start the second half, he took a deep shot, was incomplete. Then another good sequence by the Bomber defense, but that's maybe one of the best plays of the night so far for the Lions offensively. Butler thought he had more.
It was the longest offensive play of the night for the Lions. Goes for 19. 1st and 10 for the Bomber 51. Mazzoli had time, gets it away over the middle again to McInnes, and he is wrapped up immediately. Tony Jones and Michael Griffin both right there. 8th catch of the game for number 18.
Yeah, and even though he's in coverage, that's a good first down play. That gets you into second and very manageable situation for Jeremiah Mazzoli. Way more plays in the playbook for 2nd and 4 than 2nd and 10.
Catoy and Jermaine Jackson over to the right of their quarterback in the slot. Mazzoli down the field. Coming back to the ball and grabbing it this time is Eberhardt's. 1st down, BC.
James Vaughters plays that very well on the outside because Mazzoli's running the RPO and Vaughters makes him throw it. He makes him fade back and throw it. He does get the curl.
Make a good point about fading him back a little bit, right?
Yep, pushing him back, and then we've seen some high throws because of that. Not on that case, but we saw him in the first half.
Just a 4-man front for the Bombers here. Mazzoli on the run to his right, gets it away again. That was up and defended again by Parker.
Boy, he's having a game.
He is having a game, isn't he? Came into this game with just a tackle and a knockdown, but he's got a touchdown, an interception, and now that.
Big play, dragging all the way across the field and recognizing that that crossing route, not the one Butler in front there, the one behind it, was heading into the zone side. He went over there to help out, and another big play by 7.
You know, Parker's 5'8", Katoy's 6'5", and he managed to get his arm around him and make that play defensively. Now Winnipeg's going to show some heat. They're going to bring it too. Mazzoli gets it away, and it's incomplete as Mazzoli picks himself up off the turf.
Pressure down low. Just added in, and you mentioned earlier Michael Griffin becoming just a playmaker in the linebacking core. He's made a couple like that. Cromdy goes in to take the block away to open it up for his teammate in Griffin, who comes off the edge, and he's the guy who forces the incompletion.
Griffin started his career in Calgary back in 2023 with the Bombers last year, and obviously back again this year. Here's Sean White, 43-yard field goal attempt, low snap. They set it up, and White knocks that one through. He's now hit 18 in a row, and we've got a 2-possession game in Vancouver with that man, Zach Collaros, leading the way for Winnipeg. Welcome back to Vancouver, where Mike O'Shea's Bombers are in the driver's seat once again, Suits.
Yeah, they are. I mean, still a lot of work to do to get this one sealed and delivered, but you see Michael O'Shea moving up that all-time list again. Talk about big names. Of course, BC Lions fans very familiar with the top guy in Wally Buono, who is probably watching tonight.
Likes to watch his Canadian Football League, doesn't he?
Hey, coach.
Collaros, screen, Wheatfall. Can he find a block? Get a few yards out of it. Wheatfall, that's his 4th catch of the game. Nothing for Dembski yet in this game. He's got a 72-game streak on the line here. He's been targeted just once.
And that was early. I believe that was drive 1. So, yeah. Big game last week for Dembski. Of course, Chris Strebler started that game and played that game.
Five other players with a couple of catches already. Nothing for Dembski. We'll keep tabs on that. We'll get it to Schoen. Schoen upended. And Schoen really had nowhere to go. Caught that ball, and Jalen Edwards-Cooper there immediately.
Well, if the BC Lion halfbacks on defense have their best game of the year, they've got a chance. Ronald Kent and Edwards-Cooper. And that's a big tackle, because if he doesn't make that one, Schoen gets the first down. There's not another tackler close enough to help out there. There's a one-on-one.
McGee waits back on his 10. Looking to calm down after that fumble on his last attempt. His kick, a shorter. McGee gets up, takes it cleanly in the chest, and just pushes a quick return ahead. And BC, down 14, will have the ball when we return on TSN. BC Lions with the Team Ted t-shirts tonight. For more on that, down to Farhan Lalji with a special guest.
Thanks, Dustin. I'm with BC Lions general manager Ryan Rigmaiden, and both Ryan and Ted Govaya, the Ticats general manager, were close friends and colleagues in Winnipeg. So tell me about the t-shirt and what Ted means to so many around the CFL.
Yeah, we just wanted to do something to honor Ted. He's been a great ambassador for Canadian football for probably 30 years. He used to coach at UBC. He coached in this league, worked his way up from a scout to a GM. So we just want to do something to honor him, let him know that we're with him with his health struggles right now, and we wish him well.
Yeah, we know that Ted is battling cancer. I know you had a chance to see him recently. What was that visit like, and just what message would you like to share with him?
Yeah, Yeah, just we're all behind him. The visit was fantastic. He's still in great spirits, but we just wanted to know he's got a ton of love in this league. Teddy, get well soon.
Thanks for this, Ryan. Again, Ted, from all of us, get well soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent message.
Absolutely. By the way, that was Danny McManus on that first shot on the right.
Mazzoli. One hops it in to Hatcher, who forced Bridges back and found himself open. But Jeremiah couldn't get there.
No, he kind of faded away, and we talked about that, and the rush has forced him to do that. The rush didn't force him that time. He kind of did it on his own, and it may be just out of the fact that he's been pushed to do it by the Bomber defense a few times in this game already. But that was a really nice route run by Keon Hatcher for nothing. He missed him by about 3 yards.
5.5 to play, third quarter. They'll clear things out. Empty backfield. Mazzoli. Tight window, guns it in there. First down, BC, as he gets it to Jermaine Jackson for his third catch of the year.
And there's the difference, you know, for quarterback, even veteran quarterbacks with strong arms, and he's certainly one of them and fits both those categories. If you step into it, get that rotation going, then you get it to your guy in the curl.
Jackson back to the sideline. 6 on the offensive line here for BC. Butler will stay in to protect. Mazzoli on the run. Heaves it down the field, almost one-handed by McInnes. Working against Marquise Bridges, but he couldn't get up there.
5 receiver pack comes on. The extra offensive lineman substitute off. The target was McInnes, who's been at that wideout spot a few times in the offensive formation. There was an extra offensive lineman in there for protection, although Jeremiah Mazzoli got on the roll early on that.
Team leading, game leading 11th target of the game for McInnes. Mazzoli, deep shot down the sideline. Hatcher out of bounds. Not going to be able to get a foot down. He caught it, but he was forced out of bounds.
Yeah, Terrell Bonds was in coverage, and saw this last night in the game too, where defensive back is just going to run you out of room. You see the shoulder, just without getting the push action and a penalty flag, just keep running and subtly push that receiver till he runs out of space.
It's a little edge on the angle.
Just angle him out of bounds. The ball took him there too in that case, but good play by Bonds.
Raul, little stumble, he bobbles, picks it up though. And now he's going to try to find something up the middle. Broke another tackle. Pretty good return by Raul. Takes it all the way up to the 35. He was averaging 12.1 yards per punt return coming into this game, and extra effort on that one after the little bubble.
Yeah, sometimes when this happens and you recover it quickly, it disrupts the cover lanes for the cover team. It gives you a seam. A little bit of rope-a-dope going on here in this third quarter where the two offenses not getting a lot of traction.
This guy's got a long stride. Anyway, can you see him open it up?
Yeah,
he's got a long. He's only 6 feet tall, but he's got a long stride.
Good top-end speed.
1st and 10 on Winnipeg 35, right up the middle. And that'll be a first down as they get it into the hands of Quentin Cooley, and you can see why they like him.
Well, I like his change of speed there, where he got the ball, a little hesitation on the jump cut, and then a burst. Well, the safety, had to bring him down and hang on by. Sometimes those tackles by the safety aren't pretty, but they save a touchdown.
That's the first down of this third quarter for Winnipeg, who do lead by 14. Peterson back in the game at running back. And they'll go to him now. A little 1-2 punch, trying to spin away. That's easier said than done against Alway.
Micah Alway. This is how you play run stop in middle linebacker right here. So you just want to cut this play out if you're trying to teach middle linebacker play. Step into the hole, lower your center of gravity, get your target, which is the midsection. Great tackle right in the hole.
It's tackle number 3 for number 3. 2nd and 8. Lions are going to bring heat. Kolaris gets it away down the field, broken up. Diving over there was Halatic, as Schoen thought he was going to slide underneath it.
Yeah, Halatic he tries to fool Zach Kolaris by opening his hips up to the middle of the field. He opens his hips up there, and then you see the turn, and then back to that backside. Now he knows, Halatic knows he's got pressure, so Zach Kolaris is going to have to throw that to beat the pressure quickly. So he opens up and gets his hands on it.
3rd and 8. Punting situation. High snap. Jamis Cheek gets it and cross kicks it over to the far side. And that's just going to die right at the 21. McGee picks it up. Return of about 7 or 8 yards there for Jeremiah Mazzoli, who holds a Canadian Football League record.
23 straight completions without an incompletion. This is what he's capable of. I mean, when he gets on and gets going, gets in a rhythm offensively. I mentioned he's had a 5,000-yard passing season at Hamilton to overtime in the Grey Cup. 23 straight is a record. Still stands.
He's got Hatcher here. Up to the 35, no further. BC's defense has come to play here in the 3rd quarter. They need to get a little something from their offense to stick around in this game.
Yeah, the BC defense in the 2nd half is basically saying, hey, we're doing our part. Just start chipping away, even if it's field goals.
A couple of Sean White field goals, all they have to show so far tonight. 2nd and 5. Mazzoli lays it out there, and that'll fall incomplete. Was looking for Riley Pickett, who does not get targeted very often. But that falls over top of his head into the turf.
University of Saskatchewan Husky, 6'4", 250-pound. Pickett was well covered on the play, too.
He was,
had to run a wheel route, but he was covered down.
Bell stands on his own 25.
Hey, do it!
Awaiting the punt. Meyer taking over for Flintoff this year. And that one down inside the 20. Now CFL on TSN will be back with Canada Day weekend as action begins in Winnipeg. Elks play the Blue Bombers. Coverage gets underway Thursday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Quick turnaround here for Winnipeg.
Yep.
On the road, and then a short week back at home. Edmonton, of course, looking to jumpstart their season after an 0-2 start. Loss this week to the Montreal Alouettes.
Boy, Montreal looks good.
They look really good, don't they?
Hope Davis Alexander's okay. Didn't finish that game. It might have been a hamstring, but that team looks well balanced. Great defense.
Now they'll toss it ahead to Dembski.
That's a forward pass.
There's the streak stays intact.
Now,
73 games. We'll give it to him.
It's a forward pass. It can be underhand. It doesn't matter. If it goes forward, it's a forward pass. So this will be a completion to keep the streak alive.
'73 games. Stiegel, of course, 90, the Winnipeg franchise record. Dembski now 73 consecutive games with a catch. Usually doesn't take him until the end of the 3rd quarter to get one. Back to Wheatfall this time. He's been the most targeted receiver by Collaros tonight, and he has stopped short of a first down. And Winnipeg will have to punt this away as we get set for fourth quarter action here in Vancouver, where the Lions 1-0 at home, but struggling to get things going offensively. They trail 20-6. All right, welcome back to Vancouver. The Lions do trail 20-6 here. The numbers, really, there's not a ton of separation in this game. So how does BC jumpstart their offense here?
Well, in the third quarter, there was a lot of sort of from the pocket stuff where Jeremiah Masoli was either getting forced to be fading away while he threw and missing some targets, or get on the run. I would suggest some screen plays. Maybe, you know, James Butler involved, a couple bubble screens outside. Just get it out of his hands quickly. Let the receivers and the playmakers get some yak yards, some yards after the catch, especially on first down, to get yourself in more manageable situations. But, you know, you got to sort of look to different ways to get the ball. Not suggesting sort of just pounding it and running it between the tackles to James Butler, but those little bubble screens, screen plays to him, get him in space, see if he can make a couple guys miss and pick up some yards that way.
Yeah, Butler's targeted 9 times last week, 5 catches for 42 yards. He's got 8 catches on the year. A little quiet tonight. Low driving kick here. McGee hustles over.
Goes out of bounds, a penalty.
And he'll pick it up just inside the 35. Short return. And James Butler in this BC offense, that's what we've done, or we've seen from him so far tonight. That 19 yards on the ground was their longest play of the ballgame.
Well, that's what I mean. And you can get him out in space. And the Bombers have done a nice job of getting to the line of scrimmage and trying to track him. But he makes one guy miss. And, of course, he did have the drop that turned into a touchdown on that lateral. And Jamal Parker took it to the house. But a little screen draw to number 20 might get things going.
Start on their own 38. They do get it to Butler. And he pushes ahead for about half of what they need. And it'll be a manageable second down for Masoli. I like the Lions bringing Butler back.
Yeah,
went out to Hamilton. Greg Bell basically took that job away from him out there. And he said he had a great relationship with Greg Bell when we chatted with Butler a couple of weeks ago. But he was a great fit here with the BC Lions.
Back in 22,
yeah.
Nathan Rourke arrived on the scene. A great 1-2 punch. In fact, they used Butler, as I just suggested, on those little swing passes and screen passes a bunch.
2nd and 5 here. Butler out in the flat to the left of Masoli. Masoli's going to throw in deep. Up for grabs. Did he get it?
Yep.
He did. Ridiculous stuff from Keon Hatcher. And the Lions, how about some life? They just got it.
In the spotlight, Keon Hatcher, nothing fancy. In fact, I thought the coverage was real good on Butler, and Bonds was basically running the route with him, but he wins the jump ball, and how many times have we seen it?
Oh.
What a catch.
What are you supposed to do if you're Bonds and Parker?
Well, Parker was right there too. Yeah, Jamal Parker working with Bonds to try and get it out of there.
Back in 2023, Hatcher, 15 contested catches, most in the league, and he just went up and got that one. Now they'll get it out. Eberhardt had McInnes trying to set up a bit of a screen for him. Positive play on first down.
Bubble screen.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just have to go to James Parker, but you go to a bubble screen like that. It's a real quick throw for Jeremiah Masoli. Some nice yak yards on first down afterwards to get into second and short.
Man, that Hatcher catch was so impressive because Bonds and Parker both had great games. And both those guys have been outstanding tonight.
Parker especially on a roll.
7 yards to Eberhardt. 2nd and 3 for the Lions. Masoli gets this one away quickly and really zipped that one in there, didn't he? And Jermaine Jackson was able to hang on. He was thrown back, but didn't matter. They've got the first down, and the Lions continue to march.
Someone just went down. After the fact, it was a quick play action throw on the slant from Jeremiah Masoli, but right after that play, one of the Lions' old linemen went down. He would walk towards the sideline. Dejon Allen.
That's a big one for the BC Lions. Their biggest acquisition of the offseason remains down.
Right tackle Dejon Allen is right here in your screen and gets that right arm up in the face of Willie Jefferson, right in the top of the shoulder pads anyway, and then immediately comes off the field after this play, favoring that elbow. And the reason he goes down is because the Lions will have to make substitutions now, and he wants to allow the training staff to come out to give time to the coaching staff to get those substitutions in.
Allen is in the tents. Mazzoli's in the red zone. He's throwing towards the end zone. Laid out there. Was it taken away? Intercepted by the Bombers. Evan Holm. And Winnipeg's defense does it again.
Starts with pressure. I don't think Jeremiah Mazzoli was comfortable in the pocket on this one. He got a guy right in his face. And when he went to let this go, he thought he could throw it to the outside and then maybe only his guy could get there in Eberhardt, but no, Evan Holm's got some speed now.
Evan Holm just put in an extra burst.
Yeah,
beat Eberhardt to the spot.
He ran the route, exactly. Beat Eberhardt, the receiver, to the spot. But Jeremiah Mazzoli was dealing with this. Pressure up the middle, and he took a wallop here. Boom.
Just a fourth career interception for Holm.
Love you, Nora.
And his first since 2003. Had 85 tackles last year, but did not have an interception. He's got one there.
Buck Pierce was talking to the officials.
BC is challenging the ruling of the previous play of an interception. The play will be reviewed.
All right, so they're ruling if it was, in fact, an interception. This is not the challenging of a penalty. They're ruling if, I guess, this catch was made by Holm. We'll give you a slow-mo look at it coming into your living room. Not much to see on that look.
Well, I'm with you, Dustin. It looked like Evan Holm had this. However, do you see the ball touch the turf right there? Let's see what this ruling is.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. BC will be charged their last time out.
Yeah, that
first down, Winnipeg.
That right arm was locked in. He had control as he went down to the ground. Now, you can't use the turf to help you catch it. But if you've got control of the football as you're going down and the ball just happens to drag across it, you still have control.
Yeah, and when that ball did hit, it didn't move at all.
It didn't move
he had
at all.
It secured in his arm. Now Kolaris right away down the field, drops it in there at the 35. It's a big one to Wheatfall.
Let's get a little run at this. This is the CFL waggle. You can hit the line full speed. There was a couple of play action fakes by Zach Kolaris there. That's why Wheatfall could have run the double move like he did.
Immediately back on the ground to Quentin Cooley. Let's take another look at this catch from Wheatfall.
He's in behind coverage, and that's the rookie on the corner. We talked about him fitting in nicely in this secondary, but Robert Carter allowed Wheatfall in behind him there.
He made that move, and Carter turned his hips a bit, and then Wheatfall, see you later.
It only takes a second, doesn't it? One little misstep.
Wheatfall might become a regular in CFL fantasy lineups because he's got 6 catches on 6 targets for 86 yards here, 127 yards on 7 targets and a touchdown last week. Now back on the ground again to the 20, and a good extra push will take it down closer to about the 17-yard line of the BC Lions. as they give Cooley a little bit of run here at running back. We saw him spotted in a couple of times earlier in the game, but out there on this drive for Winnipeg now.
See the decision making here from Zach Collaros, knowing that even a field goal makes it a 3-possession game.
Cooley stands in to the right of Collaros. He's got 3 options: wide, side, right. Look to the left, now over the middle. Dumps it off. Jarrett Stearns down inside the 5 for a first down for Winnipeg.
Managing the pocket, Zach Collaros, when he gets through the middle of the pocket like that and is open and has the option to either run or throw it, and he will run it. He's done it occasionally. It's not his first choice, but he will do it. And when you're a linebacker like Micah Awe in this situation, you're wrong either way. You can make the decision to stay on your receiver, or you can make the decision to come up and help make a tackle on the quarterback who's wide open in the middle. And you're right in the. You're wrong either way. Now it looked like Nick Dembski may have got rolled up on here, trying to make a block.
He is out in the slot to the right of Collaros. On the run to his right. Zach trying to find somebody, drops it off, and it's caught. Look at this! Oh, I don't believe it! Healy's got it! First CFL touchdown for the big man, and they're celebrating in the Lions' end zone. How about that?
Healy's going. This one he had to go get, too. This wasn't just one of those, you know, fool everybody on the field goal team and throw it to an offensive lineman that's waiting like he would be waiting for a punt. This is Tui having to go and run this one down. I mean, he has to go get it and catch it with his hands with coverage on him.
I love it.
Wow.
You're right. Usually it'd just be a dump off. He's on the run to his right.
And they catch it in their bread basket. And they've got bigger bread baskets than most, and they'll catch it there. Not that time. He went and got it with his hands.
The lead is 21 as the offensive line gets involved offensively for the Bombers.
Here's Ely, the tight end, and he's just going to push to the flat. Now take a look at the bind that Deontay Williams is in, because once Zach Collaros is outside of containment, now if he goes up on Zach to make that tackle, easier throw. If he stays back in coverage, then Zach just runs it in for a touchdown. So again, you're caught between, do I take the quarterback? Do I stay in coverage? You're wrong either way, because the quarterback makes the opposite decision. Touchdown Bombers.
27-6. McGee on the return, one of his better ones of the night. Pushes it all the way out to the 40-yard line. And another target for Zach Collaros, just what he needs. Hey, Suits?
God is so good. God is so good.
Well, I just, you know, that was Jason Hogan going deep into the playbook there. I mean, that is...
I think what they say is Jason Hogan was cooking.
Yeah.
That's what they say, right?
That's representing no lineman right there. Tui Ely. Great hands.
How about that? 17 points off of turnovers. Mazzoli down the field, lays it up there. Jackson went to get it. He's only 5'7", but it's broken up.
But here's what I mean about the offense for the Lions is that, you know, and Buck Pierce went into it a little bit in the last series, but throwing from deep in the pocket to these intermediate routes just haven't been working in this second half. I mean, they got to break out of that mold and look at cross motion, pre-snap, other than the Keon Hatcher play early in the fourth.
Mazzoli's 17 of 34. Now he gets it out to midfield. That's Catoy's first catch of the ball game. Fourth time they looked in his direction. This time he's able to get one.
Coverage right there too. Catoy had to rip that away from the coverage on the inside and spin out of that tackle. I think it was Reddick Cramdy.
Moving quickly here. Eberhardt had to reach back for it. And they're going to rule it a complete pass. Terrell Bonds was saying no, but that'll be a pickup of about 6 yards for BC, who has to move quickly now with less than 7 to play.
And the Bombers will back off a little bit more now.
Far side, Mazzoli. Hatcher's got it. Broke one tackle. Stiff arms another. And takes it down to the 30. Mazzoli over 200 yards passing, but just above 50%. Couple interceptions. McInnes and Hatcher to the top of your screen. Down the middle. Has McInnes tripped up just outside the 10. Team leading 9th catch of the game. And BC hoping to punch one in here.
Well, no question, and they're going to just, you know, work out of the shotgun with no backs in the backfield now. But it was a good throw, but the Bombers are giving them more room.
From the 11, Mazzoli, end zone, too high, too hot for Catoy. Couldn't haul it in. We'll do it again on 2nd and 10.
A 3-down football now.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely down in this end for sure. Been a few of those. Jeremiah Mazzoli. It's been a while since Jeremiah Mazzoli's played in a live game. I'm giving him an alibi, but
I think reasonably to understand some rust might be there. Bombers going to show some heat. They bring it.
Go.
Gets it away. Oh, Jackson's pop. Look out. That's got to hurt. Marquise Bridges there to blow him up.
make you earn it. They make you earn it. There's no bus. And you see the hustle to the football, pressure off the edge from Crowder, force a quick throw. Ryan Jackson.
All right, 3rd and 8 from the Winnipeg 9 for Mazzoli. End zone shot, too high. Had a step two, didn't he?
Yeah,
and that's going to fall incomplete. Looking for Justin McInnes.
That's basically their night. You know, that had an open receiver in Justin McInnes on the corner route. Mazzoli has pretty good time in the pocket here, very good time as a matter of fact, and just misses his target.
Been a busy night for McInnes. Really could have used that one. Instead, it'll be a turnover on downs. And the officials looking to sort out a flag right now, too, I believe. There we go.
A player misconduct foul, Winnipeg, number 5. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. It'll be first down.
Winnipeg, number 5. You know who that is. Yes. Willie Jefferson. By all accounts, taunting the bench of the Lions. So that'll back them up as far as you can possibly back them up. Start on the 1 here. They win last week with Strevler. Looking to do the same with Collaros, who's 18-24 for 170 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception of his own. Peterson stands in now, a couple steps to his QB's right. And they'll give it to him, and he pushes it out. Little bit of breathing room before he's driven back into the end zone. 4.5 to play in Vancouver.
Yeah, if you're a BC Lion fan, you're looking at, Farhan mentioned in the first quarter that there's a pretty good chance that Nathan Rourke will be back in the lineup next week. They have Edmonton, and the BC Lions were starting the season with 4 Western opponents. Edmonton out of the gate, where Nathan threw for over 300. yards in that one here at home, and then the back-to-back Winnipeg, Saskatchewan next up on the schedule for the BC Lions. And
BC was one of 2 teams to actually throw for 300 yards in each of their first 2 games. Hamilton with Bo Levi the other. So if they can get Rourke ready and healthy for a big one against the Riders, that'll be next Saturday. Winnipeg in action on Thursday. Multiple flags looking for Schoen. He's pushed out of bounds, incomplete anyway. Schoen targeted 6 times tonight. Big night for Carrick Wheatfall once again.
BC, number 0. It's 5-yard penalty. We'll repeat second down.
Sione Tehema returning to the lineup. Did a beast defensively for the Lions over the last few years. At least 7 sacks in each of the last 3 seasons for Tehema.
Yeah, I think the Lions defense has played better. The one thing that we haven't noticed is that any sort of issues with the Winnipeg O-line, and they had that to make that one change with Gabe Wallace playing left guard. And
well, when you put a giant in at left guard, yeah, probably won't hurt your offensive line.
It's like when you have to take an Uber to get around your opponent. It becomes that much trickier, but this is what they do, though. I mean, this is what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers do, and it's in the front office or coaching staff. They hire from within, and they have built their depth so that if they lose a starter, they bring in the mountain, Gabe Wallace, out of Buffalo, 6'6", 350.
17th overall pick in 2020. That guy's only 25 years old. How do you get that big? By 25, he's a powerhouse on the offensive line. Well, season's flying by. We're already to week 4 coming up. Elks will open up against the Bombers in Winnipeg. Alouettes and Tiger Cats in an all-East affair for Friday Night Football. Lions looking to snap a 2-game slide here. They'll get the Riders at home in Regina on Saturday, and on Sunday action, Argos and Red Blacks to wrap up week 4.
Red Blacks got the win before our game, and there's a couple teams looking for their first win of the season in that list. Argos being one of them.
Not going to be an easy task for Edmonton either, having to face a Winnipeg team that is on the verge of going 2-0 for the 5th time in the last 6 years. They'll hand it off again, right up the middle.
Yeah, but not last year.
Not last year. Last year was the exact opposite.
Started 0-4 and got things squared away and got on a roll in the back half, and then took it right to the Grey Cup. We'll have to wait and see how long Brady Oliveira is out of the lineup. Still no official word on that.
He was just put on the 1 game. Yeah. So a positive sign there for O'Shea and his Bombers. And it's a short week, a turnaround. They'll be at home, though. Princess Auto Stadium will be rocking.
Hey, Coach O'Shea told us in a Zoom call, the schedule is always perfect.
Flag as Collaros throws, and it's going to be picked off at the 35. But as I mentioned, there's a penalty on the play.
The reaction of Dwayne Hendricks.
Did he not walk out of there waving his arms?
Yeah, he was waving his arms like he was upset with what this possible flag.
Holding, Winnipeg, number 66.
He's fine.
Penalty is declined. First down, BC.
First career interception for Robert Carter Jr.
Important for him, but not really relevant in this one. It's important because you get that first one, and then for DBs, somehow they start to come in bunches.
Why you call me away? No, I said perfect. That was a perfect call. That was a perfect call.
If you go to YouTube, we showed you in week 1.
He's the guy.
An interception when he was at Robert Morris. That was
completion to Katoy. That was the one where he jumped up, twisted his body as he was twisting around. He one-hands it. I was watching you guys do this game. I said, oh, that's that guy. when you guys highlighted it. Yeah, it was.
Now, Jamal Parker's got to be a little bit careful with those low hits on a defenseless receiver. That's a new rule that the receiver can't defend himself. You can't go low. But that one happened so quick, it would have been a bubble call.
Mazzoli with 4 options out to his left. Looks in that direction, will throw in that direction. And it is caught by Katoy, but he's run out of room there, working against both Parker and Marquise Bridges. 2nd and goal.
Yeah, the panel guys were talking about the timing a little bit off with Mazzoli. And, I thought the first drive, it was looking more at his, how he was moving in the pocket physically and things like that, whereas recognition, pre-snap. But the timing has been a little bit off.
He played 17 games over the last 3 years with Ottawa, right? Gets this one away, and that one into the hands of Katoy. I thought for a moment Holm was going to pick that off, but he zips it in there. Katoy's got the touchdown late here in the game, and some pushing and shoving for good measure.
Yeah, Evan Holm was trying to pad the stats. He already has one. He got his first on the season. Thought he could undercut that.
For a brief moment, I thought he had it. Katoy had to be ready.
Close, yeah.
He's got it. One of the officials, I believe, is being 10-2.
Again, not relevant on the score tonight, but that's probably an important catch for Javon Katoy. He's got off to a bit of a bumpy start. Not necessarily all his fault.
Let's see if we can find out what happened to the official here.
Woodruff is trying to get.
Oh, yeah. That's the umpire, Kyle Ikulik.
Yeah, that's.
Because as soon as you catch it, every time it's right there on your way.
So Katoy with the touchdown. He's got 51 yards on 4 catches.
I guess, watching him last year, and this is maybe just me, that my expectation for Javon Katoy just went through the roof. I just thought, this is a 1,000-yard guy. And long strider, good hands, and it's based on that expectation, it's been a bumpy start. Numbers haven't been bad.
He's had some drops, though.
Yeah, a couple drops that first game.
I think that's a fair statement.
First game, dropped a touchdown throw.
All right, we've got
ejections here.
A couple of ejections. We believe it's going to be Willie Jefferson. His second misconduct foul.
Right, a second.
And then
that's automatic.
Woodruff for abuse of an official.
And it doesn't matter if it was an accident.
So the officials continue to sort this out. We believe that is what is going to come out of this. So it'll be the end of the night for Willie Jefferson and Corey Woodruff. Woodruff was the guy who moved over from left guard to right tackle when they lost Dejon Allen.
Yeah, and remember, Willie Jefferson had got that penalty, something he said.
I believe he's taunting the Lions sideline earlier here in the quarter. The Lions will be down to 4 linemen because Allen has been injured in this game, and Woodruff, we believe, is going to be ejected. Is that Thibaut Dubaye putting on a different jersey?
Yeah, he's going to go with number 55 and is the emergency alignment because they're both gone.
Willie waving goodbye here at BC Place. Final meeting of the season between these two teams.
Series won by the Bombers. And won convincingly.
Yep.
You know, I mean, work to do for Buck Pierce and his group. Of course, we talked about Nathan Rourke, possibility of him returning, but Michael O'Shea, this whole discussion on O'Shea's squad getting older, you just might as well put that to bed.
Well, I think they've inserted some
All right, there are
youth
two
into
post-play
the lineup
fouls
this year.
on the previous play.
There we go.
We have a player misconduct foul against Winnipeg number 5. That is the second misconduct foul of the game. Number 5 Winnipeg is disqualified. We also have a disqualification against BC number 64 for physical abuse of official. The net 10 yards will be applied on the kickoff.
All right. Our referee, Justin McInnes, sorting it out nicely.
Yeah, well announced. But this Bomber team, let's remember they lost Kenny Lawler, Wolotarski, Ontario Wilson.
Second.
A couple guys on defense.
Push it in. Butler gets it done.
Touchdown on garbage time, but Brandon Alexander on defense. Adam Big Hill, you know, has been over the last couple of years sort of stepping back and retired. A little bit younger in the secondary. I think on defense, the Bombers have become faster. You know,
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in that back end, you replace Brandon Alexander with Jamal Parker, completely different player. I mean, Brandon Alexander, big DB, you know, real imposing kind of physical guy over the middle, trying to plant seeds in receivers' minds that they're going to get hit. And Jamal Parker, 5'8", 184, completely different type of free safety. But wow, was he impactful in this one. I mean, that's a lateral. He scoops that up in the first half, takes it back to the house, but he wasn't done there. Watch this catch. That's a great catch for an interception. And then this knockdown, again, key moment of the game, 2 possession here, and Jamal Parker from the safety spot tracks Javon Katoy and gets the knockdown there. So big night for him.
And then on the offensive side of the ball, you know, you mentioned they lose Kenny Lawler. They do get Schoen back, who was injured last season. And this Carrick Wheatfall gives me like young Kenny Lawler vibes. Kenny Lawler's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to compare them, but he moves smoothly like Kenny Lawler does.
Yeah,
so I think there's a lot of potential, I guess, is what I'm saying with Carrick Wheatfall.
Yeah, Carrick Wheatfall can blow the top off the defense.
All right.
Oh, that's touched. That's
short
foul.
kick. That is touched. Home gets there, though, and will push it out of bounds. It was live after the initial touch, but the Lions could not get there. And Evan Holm, who has an interception in this game, is able to bat it out with 92 seconds left.
Well, and speaking of, they look faster on defense. There's maybe the fastest of all of them playing on this hands team, the onside kick return team, and he just beats everybody to that football. Tips it out. You just have to knock it out of bounds to get possession. Can't kick it out of bounds. Have to deliberately knock it out of bounds.
Strevler into the game to mop this one up. He was outstanding last week getting the start, which led to a 14-point victory. They're up by 13 points right now. Did that ball pop out? They managed to hang on to it, but that was a little disjointed, wasn't it?
A little one bouncer right back up to him.
Would have been a tough bounce in your first CFL game for Quentin Cooley, who's got 6 carries, 33 yards.
So the Bombers have Alberta next couple of weeks before their next bye.
Yeah, I don't know if the rest of the West or the entire league really wants to hear me say it, but Winnipeg looks really good again.
Yep.
Back to Cooley again, and look at that. Low center of gravity just pushing through everyone to pick up a first down. Darn close to one if he didn't get it.
Yeah, and they...
Comes down to the spot, but he was right there. And it is, in fact, a Winnipeg first down.
And Zach Collaros, a good game because he, in the first half, was aggressive, got that lead, and then managed the game nicely in the second half. Mixed it in, and the reputation is intact as far as I'm concerned, and always will be. His suspension, that's an old story now. We can let that go because he missed a phone call in the offseason, and that's really all it came down to. He's not ever tested positive and been tested many times, so we can put that to bed and move on. They've got their starter and leader back.
You could tell he was excited on his pregame hit with Farhan, like just the smile on his face.
Yeah.
He was ready to go.
Said it's great to be back with my teammates. It's a great group. This is a beautiful city. Let's go play.
200 career touchdowns.
Yeah.
Now for Collaros, he hit that tonight, and this will be his 50th victory as the starting quarterback of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It's his backup, Chris Strevler, who, by the way, also led the team to a victory last week against these BC Lions. On a positive side for the Lions tonight, you don't have to play Winnipeg again this season.
But you want to play them if you want
like to get them in the playoffs, yeah.
Get them in the playoffs. Now, we're not seeding any teams in the playoffs just yet in week 3, but that'll do it.
Convincing victory for the Bombers, 27-14 the final. Collaros, win number 50 for this club. And it really was never in doubt, was it?
No. And Michael O'Shea moves up the wins list for head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Jeremiah Mazzoli had some rust, but still was an excellent signing, not only to help with the development of Nathan Rourke in his young journey, but to have a veteran behind him just in case. So, as reported earlier, Rourke likely back next week. We'll see how he does in practice.
Dembski did extend his streak, now a catch in 73 consecutive games. Had just the one tonight. That's all you need to keep a streak alive. Winnipeg Blue Bombers keeping a streak alive as well. They've won 4 in a row against the BC Lions. Zach Collaros is back, and he picked up right where he left off. 2 touchdowns for Collaros as the Bombers will head home to host Edmonton. Winnipeg, a 2-0 start for the 5th time in the last 6 years. Convincingly tonight over the Lions. Sports Center is next.